Welcome. Today, we are diving into something called Kaizen. It's this really powerful idea that proves, that small, consistent changes can lead to absolutely massive results. It sounds simple, and it is, but the impact, it's incredible. So let me ask you this right off the bat. What if the secret to huge success was hiding in plain sight, in all the little things we overlook every day? Just think about that for a second. It kind of flips the script on the whole idea that big improvements have to come from some giant, disruptive leap.
All right, so let's get right to it. What exactly is Kaizen? Well, it's a Japanese concept, and while the literal translation is change for the better, the real magic is in how that change happens.
So yes, Kaizen literally means improvement, but the key thing to get here is the approach. We're not talking about some one-time, super expensive overhaul. Nope. This is all about creating a culture of continuous, small, and gradual improvements made by every single person in the organization, every single day.
Now, this idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was really brought to the global stage by Masaaki Imai in his huge 1986 book. This book basically took a concept that was already transforming post-war Japan and showed the rest of the world how all these tiny little gears of improvement could power a massive economic engine.
So you might be thinking, okay, but isn't this just innovation? Well, yes and no. Let's dig into the core mindset here, because you'll see it's actually pretty different from how we usually think about making things better. And this slide right here really lays it all out. You see, we tend to think of innovation as this big, expensive lightning strike that comes from the top down. Kaizen, it's the total opposite. Think of it more like a gentle, continuous rain. It focuses on improving the process because it knows that good results will naturally follow. It's cheap or even free, and it involves everybody, not just a few experts in a lab somewhere. And look, this isn't just some feel-good philosophy. The results are real and they are measurable. These small changes, they add up fast. Companies that really embrace this often see a 20 to 50% gain in areas like productivity or safety. That just goes to show you the incredible power of this bottom-up approach. So how do you actually do this stuff? Well, it all comes down to a set of core principles that really guide the whole process. Let's break down a few of the most important ones. First up, and this one is absolutely fundamental, is the idea to go to Gemba. It's such a simple phrase, but man, it has profound implications for how you solve problems. Gemba literally means the actual place. We're talking about the factory floor, the office, the sales counter, wherever the real work actually happens. The core principle is that you just can't solve a problem from a conference room looking at a report. You have to get up and go see it with your own two eyes. And this is why it's such a game changer. When you go to the Gemba, you're basing your decisions on actual facts, not on some secondhand summary. You might spot a hidden trip hazard, or a workflow that's causing strain, or even just dust building up in a dangerous spot. These are things that would never, ever show up on a spreadsheet, but they have a huge impact on safety and efficiency. Okay, next up is a principle that takes Kaizen from just being a management tool and turns it into a real cultural shift. And that's the idea of involving absolutely everyone. Seriously, this isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a requirement for it to actually work. Think about it. The people doing the work know the work best, right? So by empowering your frontline workers to spot risks and suggest improvements, you're tapping into this massive well of knowledge that's usually ignored. This creates a really proactive culture where people are solving problems before they turn into big, ugly crises. And all of that naturally leads us to our third key principle, the relentless hunt to eliminate waste, or as it's called in Japanese, muda. In the world of Kaizen, waste is anything, and I mean anything, that doesn't add value for the customer. Think about wasted motion, walking across the floor to get a tool, or time spent just waiting for a part to arrive. When you start eliminating that waste, you're not just getting more efficient, you're making the workplace safer by clearing clutter, removing trip hazards, and reducing fatigue. It's a huge win-win. Okay, so theory is great, but let's see how all these pieces actually come together in the real world. This is a fantastic story from a tooling manufacturing unit over in India. 35%. Just let that number sink in for a moment. 35%. That's a massive improvement. But what in the world does it represent? Let's find out. You're not going to believe this. That giant 35% number, that was the reduction in the amount of time workers spent just looking for tools. And the best part?
It all came from one single simple suggestion from a person working right there on the factory floor.
So here's exactly how it went down. A worker noticed the problem, the wasted time, right there at the Gemba. They suggested a super simple fix for tool storage. And here's the key. Management empowered them to try it out. They implemented the new system and boom, the results were incredible. Productivity shot up and they had fewer ergonomic complaints. That right there is Kaizen in a nutshell.
Okay, so hopefully you're feeling inspired. You're thinking about how you could bring this to your own workplace. Let's talk about how to actually make it happen and, what hurdles you might face along the way.
Because let's be real, it's not always a smooth ride. People can be resistant to change, even small ones. You might struggle to get the higher ups to really buy in, and sometimes it's just plain hard to keep that momentum going after the initial excitement wears off. But don't worry, here are some proven ways to get the ball rolling. First, don't try to change the whole company at once. Just pick one small pilot area and aim for a quick, visible win. Train your teams on the basics, like how to do a Gemba walk. And this is so important. Celebrate every single contribution. Make people feel seen and valued for their ideas. And that brings us to the end. I'm just going to leave you with this one final thought. You don't need some grand master plan. Just think about your own work, your own day. What's one small improvement you could make tomorrow? Because that right there is where the whole journey of Kaizen really begins.